The first witnesses did not leave words. They left fingerprints around a question. Why would people abandon the open ground? Why carry fire into stone? Unless darkness had become safer than the sky. They had dwellings outside, hide, bone, timber, ash. Fires waited in pits. Tools waited where hands had dropped them. These were places made for hunger, weather, and ordinary fear. But this fear came from above. The animals knew before the people did. The camp went silent, and every face turned upward. Whatever appeared did not enter the cave. It didn't have to. It changed the meaning of outside. So they went inward, under the only roof the sky could not cross. Behind them, the horizon remained in memory. Before them, blank walls waited. And memory needs a surface when language is not enough. Thousands of years later, scholars arrived with clean lamps. They measured pigment, dated charcoal, catalogued bone and ash. Then they gave the marks careful names. Ritual, trance, symbol, myth. The mind under pressure drawing its own storms. It was not a foolish explanation. It was safe. And safety can become another kind of darkness. But the walls kept pointing outward. Toward cave mouths, horizons, and hands raised like witnesses. Toward spirals that did not sit quietly as decoration. Toward radiant bodies no animal had worn. Toward crouched shapes beneath impossible rings. One researcher noticed the pattern after midnight. A spiral in one cave. Another beneath a different mountain. A ringed figure in a desert carving. A watching eye on a stone older than any map. Not identical. Not everywhere. Not enough for proof. But enough to make certainty lower its voice. He wrote the official words. Possible recurrence, ritual significance. Then he added altered perception. But the page looked smaller than the wall. In the older darkness, a hand touched ochre. Another hand took stone. The first mark was not art, it was resistance to silence. A spiral for what turned above them. A ring for what burned without fire. A crouched figure for what waited over the horizon. a handprint for the one who had seen. I was here. I saw. The scholar did not say that aloud. No careful room would accept it. So the safer words returned. Trance, symbol, nervous system. Then he looked toward the entrance, at the thin blue wound of sky. And the explanation began to tremble. Perhaps the mind had repeated itself. Or perhaps the sky had. Nothing was proven. That was the discipline. Nothing was dismissed. That was the wound. By morning, the lamps were packed away. The labels waited to be printed. Ritual, trance, symbol. But beneath those words, another sentence remained. They did not go into the caves to imagine. They went there to remember. And on the oldest walls, before history learned to doubt them, the first witnesses drew the sky.